Howdy all, I'm Adam the Renaissance Nerd, and welcome to my review of Skeleton Crew, Episode 1, the latest in Disney Star Wars on your small screen. Skeleton Crew, what can I say to get us started here? Boring. Boring. And boring. I am not sure exactly who this is really made for, because I know who's entertained by this. The childish adult. That's who's entertained by this, because here's my immediate snapshot take of this entire thing. It's as though somebody is playing with Star Wars toys, but doesn't know how to play Star Wars. And I say playing with Star Wars toys because it's as though it's put into the perspective of I'm a kid and I'm playing with Star Wars and I'm seeing myself moving the toys around, but I don't comprehend how to actually tell a story. That's kind of how this is. Now, I will say some positives before we get into the actual show, because here's what we're going to do. I'm going to break down a couple quick things here about how it feels, how it looks, and then I'm going to run through it and tell you the obvious conclusions I've reached by just watching Episode 1, because I've only watched Episode 1. You'll get my Episode 2 review tomorrow. But in Episode 1, I'll say this. Compared to all the other Disney Star Wars shows I have covered in the recent past, John Watts does a good job of at least giving a cohesive narrative. It may be boring, but it's cohesive. The story flows along for 40 minutes. Now, does there a lot of long, drawn-out stuff? Yes. They could have cut good 15 minutes out of this and still gotten the point across. But it's at least flows well. Is it written well? There's a lot of terminology like the word weekend. Weekend used in Star Wars. No, I'm sorry, no. There's a lot of phrases thrown around to make you feel and think Star Wars. And some of them, I realized by the time I reached the end of the episode, are included as an obvious tell as to what's going on this particular world that the kids are starting out on. But at one point, a kid said wizard. Seriously. Yes, because Anakin and his little friend said wizard in The Phantom Menace. Yeah, remember that? Anyway, and I will say this, the kid actors, they're mostly fine. They are not terrible. They did it. The casting director did a good job. The kids are fine. They're not terrible little actors and actresses. Their characters, however, kind of suck, especially Girl Boss Fern. She's really annoying, and if she's going to be like this the whole series, God help us. And that's the thing, though. The series itself, who is this made for? I'm going to ask that question now, and I'm going to give you the answer when we reach the end of this first episode as I see it. So all that being said, let's just run through this. No long-form review, because there's honestly not enough to do a long-form breakdown of everything. The thing kind of just goes along, and then starts their adventure at the end of the episode with the catalyst moment. Anyway, so we begin with a little blip of it's post-Empire. We are post-Return of the Jedi in Disney Star Wars, and it starts to tell us that the New Republic is maintaining order. No, it says the New Republic, and you're going to hear other terminology later on. That's the giveaway of what's going on this planet. But it has a problem with uncharted hyperspace lanes. Now, here we can't stop and say this is Disney Star Wars to a T, not understanding that at this point, basically 20,000 plus years into the Star Wars galaxy, hyperspace lanes have been charted in the known part of the galaxy. Unknown regions, different situation at this point, but the hyperspace lanes are charted. There's no unknown, unpopulated, unpatrolled hyperspace lanes. Anyway, they're saying there are uncharted hyperspace lanes, and there's piracy, and the pirates are killing everybody. Oh, no! So that's the theme of the show, pirates, yay. And we open with a pirate attack on some vessel, and a lot of people get shot, a lot of people die. And then here comes a dude in a mask who is obviously Jude Law. It is obviously Jude Law in a mask. And he's the captain of this vessel, but there's no booty, so they mutiny him, and they're going to throw him in jail, and the kids are obviously going to get captured at some point, and he's going to break out with them. There you go. Obviously, Jude Law in a mask. Anyway, then we cut to this planet that has no name. I didn't get a name. At least if there was a name, I missed it. And we have Win, I don't know. I call him Flophead. Floppy head here. Floppy hair. I'll be a little nicer. Floppy hair. Floppy hair here. He's a whimsical guy. He has dreams with his dad. He has a little picture story iPad type thing that he's constantly looking at with Jedi images on it. And I'm asking myself, why is he saying Jedi so freely? This is the New Republic. There's only Jake Skywalker running around. There are no Jedi. So that was bumping around in my head, and I figured it out at the end of the episode. But we'll get to that. So he is living on this planet. He has to go to school, wake up in the morning. He's got a dad who works in an office. Clearly, he's trying to be a good dad, doesn't have time for his kid. And he dumps credits on the thing and says, here's your lunch money. I'm working all week, blah, blah, blah. Then kid's going to go to school. Flophair's going to go to school. But on the way there, he's going to run into, let's be honest, the fetish of all the childish stand adults here, Neil. I don't have a made-up name for him. We're just going to call him Neil. Neil, the obviously Ortorlan ripoff alien. He's not an Ortorlan. That's very clear because he has a mouth underneath his trunk. But either way, he's a ripoff. They couldn't be creative, so they just kind of adapted it on Ortorlan and made something out of that. Anyway, they're going to have a little playful fight out on the sidewalk while a bunch of other kids look at them and say, why are you weird? They're pretending to be Jedi or fighting each other. I come back to what I said before. A lot of people are saying that this is, oh my God, it's bringing back to childhood when I played Star Wars. And that's kind of the problem here. I don't want to watch a show where people are playing Star Wars. I want to actually watch Star Wars. But this isn't Star Wars. It's Disney Star Wars. So anyway, after being embarrassed, Flophead and Neil get on the train and go to school, and they spot girl boss Fern and little gender swap girl Lobot. She has a name, KB, but she's basically Lobot, but a tiny little girl. And they watch them on a speeder bike go through, and he's like, oh my God, her speeder bike was so cool. Did you see it? No. And let me describe basically now Floppy Hair, Win, and Neil. Floppy Hair, Win, as I said, he's got dreams of adventure, delusions of grandeur, to use a proper Star Wars term. And you've got Neil, who is basically happy-go-lucky, hapless. He kind of just wants to go along to get along. He's going to have a crush on some other little furry alien girl in class, and he just wants to be helpful to his buddy. That's Neil in a nutshell. There's no actual character there. That's it. But he's a sexual fetish for all the stands. So they're happy about that. Right, so they're going to go to school, and they're going to be told about calculations, this and that, and then some chick comes around and says, it's assessment day. I'm some sort of undersecretary, and everybody must be working to help the great work. And I ask myself, what is this? Socialism, the planet, where everybody has their role to play? They're told what to do by the state, by the government? And then there's the planet. This doesn't look like Star Wars. This doesn't sound like Star Wars. This doesn't feel like Star Wars. And even when I come to the realization that I do at the end of the episode, that shouldn't be an excuse for why this planet doesn't look like Star Wars. But we'll get there. So they have assessment day where basically everybody's going to take a test and be told what they're going to be good at. Oh, it's almost like you live in a society where everybody tells you what to do and there's no freedom of thought. Oh my, how? Wow, they didn't have to go far to try and write this one, did they? Anyway, so here we go. Little Flop Hair Win, he's not very confident because he hasn't been studying, but Neil is. And we saw the little girl Fern and baby girl Lobot. They were riding home on their speeder bike, and they hit a bump and broke their power converter, and they can't get it fixed because now they have a problem. They're going to race some other delinquents, and the problem is the delinquents are not important. That's the thing. Guess what? They're introduced, and they're not important. But Adam, it's the reason the girls are going to go do what they do because they need a power converter. Great, yeah, but you know what? Still boring. We learn quickly, though, that Fern is a tiny little girl boss because she's bored. She's bored with her privileged life because we learn very quickly when she goes home that her mom is the undersecretary bureaucrat who was telling everybody what to do back in Flop Hair Win's class. So she lives a privileged life. She has a high-powered mom. Her mom is a good mom. She wants her to do well. Kind of like, sounds like a bit of a tiger mom, a helicopter mom, saying you must do well in class. But Fern, she wants to rebel because she has a nice, easy life. and she's also a bit of a bitch. So what happens is the next day, Finn, floppy-haired Finn, whatever his name is, he oversleeps and misses the bus for assessment day test. And he decides to take a shortcut on his tasseled speeder bike. It's got tassels on the wheel, on the handlebars, because that's so Star Wars. He takes a shortcut through the woods and discovers a hatchway, or what he thinks is a hatchway to a Jedi temple. Oh my God, it's a Jedi temple. And then he gets busted by the robot, brought into detention, or not detention, but to see the principal or something like that. And while he's there, here comes Girl Fern to tell him, what are you doing? What are you here for? I'm here because I was late. And she says, the droids don't like me because I race a speeder bike down the hall or some shit like that. And she's got snarky shit all over her. She's got snarky all over her, written snarky everywhere. So little Girl Boss Fern is going to be witness as Wynn's dad comes out and lectures him about missing this and that. He needs to get a perfect score in order to pass, not be held back, go home and study. I have to go to work. She's going to learn about the fact that Wynn tries to tell the dad, hey, I found a Jedi temple in the woods. We need to go uncover it. It's great. It's why I was late. But Dad doesn't want to listen. But that means Girl Boss Fern is going to now go with Lobot Girl, and they're going to go there ahead of it because that night on the way home, floppy-haired Wynn is going to go get Neil out of his little happy home with all the cute little aliens in it to go dig it up. But when they get there, the girls have found it, and the boys are there, and they have a little classic, it's literal playground bullshit. We got here first. We get the claim. No, we get the claim. Claimsies. 1, 2, 3. It's childish, and it's boring. And what happens is the girls trick the boys into doing all the hard work to get it dug open. Even though the girl Lobot's going, maybe we shouldn't be so mean. But Girl Boss Fern is like, hey, they're dumb boys. We should take advantage of this. We'll get the loot in there. Anyway, they discover a panel, and the girl Lobot opens it up, and they all go wandering around in there, and they have little backs and forths of very low-grade writing saying, hey, Girl Boss Fern says to Floppy Hair Wynn, why don't you grow up and stop pretending everything's a Jedi, blah, blah, blah. He says, shut up. We're on an adventure. This is cool. They're all going, no, we just want to go home. We don't want to actually be here. We want to get what we need and go home. Little Neil betrays him and says, I just want to go home, and follows the girls while Floppy Hair Wynn wanders into what is clearly the cockpit of the ship. So what they did is at one point they ran into the droid that's going to be Nick Frost, and he hit a lever and things sort of powered on but didn't. The girls go down with Neil to find the little power thing and turn it on, the generator, and the Girl Boss Fern is busy yelling at Floppy Hair Wynn, don't touch anything! Don't touch anything! We don't want to do this! Don't be stupid! So of course what does he do? He touches something, touches a button, powers everything on, the ship comes to life, they're going to try to escape. Dad has found him at this point, and he's like, Wynn, what are you doing? Hi, Dad, save me! They don't save him, flies off into space, and here's where I suddenly realized there's something up here with why this plan is the way it is. The ship is going through the atmosphere, and they're all going, oh my God, we're going to crash into the barrier, and I'm thinking, it's just some green clouds. What are you worried about? There's just space out there. And then they go through it, and they're surprised to see stars. They're surprised at it. And then suddenly the ship kicks into hyperdrive, and boom, goes to light speed, and episode over. That's it. I mean, like I said, there was interplay between the kids to sort of have their characters to show us that, like I said, floppy-haired Wynn, he's got an adventurer spirit, but he's easily manipulated and doesn't like and bullied by the girls. Neil is a go-along to get along. Fern is a girl boss in training, and KB is the smart, kind, quiet girl who wants to say good things and doesn't want to bother people too hard. That's the dynamic they've all set up. But it's done stretched out with snarky commentary back and forth of kids fighting with each other, which is not entertaining. At least not entertaining to an adult. Now, I realized something as they burst through the barrier cloud. This planet still thinks the Old Republic is in existence. Whatever they've got going on with their great work on the planet, they think the Old Republic is still real, and they have no idea that the Empire even existed and that it's over now. So that's why Finn or floppy-haired Win, whatever his name is, that's why he thinks the Jedi are so still prevalent, because he comes from an era where the Jedi still roamed the galaxy and had temples everywhere. That's the reality of this show. And that's the explanation of why this planet doesn't look like the rest of Star Wars. But that doesn't work because in the Old Republic, it still looked like Star Wars. Just look at the prequel trilogy and everything surrounding that. So you can't tell me that just because this planet clouded itself in a green fog, it looks like suburbia and not Star Wars, and that makes it work. That doesn't work. It doesn't work. Now, as for what I said, who is this made for? This isn't even made for kids. I guarantee someone's going to come into this review without even watching it, going by whatever I titled it, this and that, and they're going to say, it's made for kids. Why are you a grown man yelling at it? No, this show is not made for kids. It's made for the childish adult who's going, oh, it's bringing me back to when I was young, and I'm now going on an adventure. That's who it's made for people who don't actually like Star Wars. They like Disney Star Wars because this show has zero Star Wars in it in the first episode. Nothing really. It's got no flavor, no nothing, no feeling. There's nothing to it that will even evoke a proper nostalgic emotion of Star Wars. And then they'll go, oh, it's so great. We've got something new. No, real Star Wars fans, they want that. They want real Star Wars, which had old that brought in new and developed and evolved. Not just, here's the galaxy and something you never saw before, and we're going to paint it around fake Star Wars lore made up in Disney. That's what they're about to do with the rest of this show. At least that's how I feel it's going to go. And listen, as I said way back at the beginning before this even dropped, this was not going to be as offensive as Acolyte. In fact, this show isn't offensive at all. It's just boring. Made for childish adults who want to pretend they're real Star Wars fans. That's the bottom line. There's nothing to this show. This first episode is hollow and empty, and I go back to what I said before. It's as though somebody took out Star Wars toys and started playing with them, but doesn't know how to play Star Wars. Doesn't know how to properly craft Star Wars. So that's it. That's it. That's my take for the first episode, and I guess we're done. So thank you for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on episode 2. So until then, take it easy. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Check out my gaming channel at Renaissance Nerd Arcade, and follow me on X Twitter under @TheRedNerd. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.